Hello, everyone, and welcome to the semifinals of the StarCityGames.com Dallas Open Weekend, part of Season 2 of the 2018 SCG Tour, brought to you by the wonderful people over at Twitch and Ultimate Guard. Cedric Phillips and Patrick Sullivan here in the booth. Nick Miller, you see him down there next to Tannon Grace in our feature match area. Get ready to watch young Ian Thorne do battle against the elder statesman Tannon Grace. Thorne on the play, given that he's the number 2 overall seed, against Grace on the draw. It's Dredge, it's Mono Green Tron. And it should be an interesting one here, as Dredge has been the breakout deck of the weekend. It's been breaking out on Magic Online recently, and with good reason. Creeping Chill really pushing this deck further than it's been in some time now. However, Mono Green Tron does play main deck copies of Relic of Progenitus. It does have some heavy hitters here in Ugin, the Spirit Dragon, along with Wormcoil Engine, which I think actually plays a role in things here, and the always powerful Walking Ballista. Looks like Thorne's going to take a mulligan here, and of course, our backup match, if we have time to jump that way, it is Tannon Grace's good friend and card buddy, that's Peter Holman, playing 4-color Death Shadow against Alec Jones, who is also playing Dredge. So for you Dredge fans out there, we could have another lovely mirror
match. Yes.
In the finals.
Let's go home.
It was so much fun to cover earlier this weekend. Why not do it again?
All right, standard classic players after.
Looks like our standard classic is wrapping up here. Standard, a very healthy format right now.
In first place with 20 points is Carson Lewis.
As we're going to watch Ian Thorne play a Shriekhorn off a Copperline Gorge to get us started here in the semifinals. For Grace, it is the very powerful Relic of Progenitus off of an Urza's Mine. Shriekhorn is going to mill over a Thug and a Loam. Loam will bite the dust. Of course, it is Ian Thorne's choice, but Ian's going to select the life from the Loam. So, it's a Stinkweed Imp, a Narcomoeba, a Prized Amalgam, and a Gemstone Mine.
Some nice hits here.
Not a bad start here for Ian. There'll be an Amalgam trigger that goes on the stack as well. Let's see how much more Ian Thorne can do on this turn, though. Does he have maybe a Cathartic Reunion to play? As there's a Blackcleave Cliffs.
For all other players, a copy of the final standings is being posted on the pairings board.
I think the answer might be yes, folks. And it is. It's Cathartic Reunion here. You can see the difference of the play in the draw already. As Thorne's going to discard a couple of cards here. So he's going to start the dredging with Dakmore Salvage. There's 2 cards. Next up, Stinkweed Imp. And it's an Imp, a Chill, a Conflagrate, a Reunion, and a Shriekhorn. And will he dredge another Imp? He will. This will bring down a Looting, a Bloodghast, a Gorge, a Mountain, and another Stinkweed Imp. That one Prized Amalgam will come back, of course. No attack to be had. Creeping Chill's going to resolve. And you see Ian scanning the graveyard just to make sure he knows everything that's in there at this stage of things.
And now to discard.
Already discarded, part of the cost.
Oh, yeah,
Gets
right.
to keep him
Yep.
with Reunion. Yep. It gets a little backwards sometimes as we head back over to Tannon Grace. He's already got one Tron piece and looking to work himself towards another. Now, he may have kept this hand just off the back of Relic Progenitus, but I like what Ian Thorne has done here. He's got that Shriekhorn on the battlefield, and he said, you know what? I can use this whenever I want to.
Yeah, I think that's wise there. You want to be able to rebuild through a Relic, and the Shriekhorn allows you to do that. I don't know if Tannon really needs to pull the trigger on the Relic right now. If he wants to cycle, then great, but there's nothing really threatening in the graveyard for him to interact with other than a Dredger, and Thorne might be able to replace that with a Shriekhorn.
There's the Tower of Power. And now it looks like an Expedition map might be coming down here for Tannon Grace, which means he's not too far away from Tron at all. So we're going to go over to Ian Thorne, who on Grace's end step is going to activate the Shriekhorn. 2 cards will be placed into the graveyard here for Ian, so we'll see how fast he can rebuild. And he's already found a Dredge card there in Dark Blast. He'll untap, and on the upkeep, we're going to see him activate that Shriekhorn again. It's a Life from the Loam and Cathartic Reunion, so now there's probably some dredging to be done. He'll start with Life from the Loam. A Wooded Foothills, another Life from the Loam, and a Copperline Gorge will be placed in the graveyard to replace his draw step. Nothing too scary just yet. As he'll attack for 4, Grace is going to fall down to 13.
Yeah, Thorne can keep dredging, but nothing threatening coming out of the graveyard just yet.
The follow-up here for Thorne, I suppose, is the question, and it's going to be a Life from the Loam. So, going to get a couple of lands back and potentially working towards a lethal Conflagrate. Not one in the graveyard just yet for Ian, but that's what the dredge mechanic is for. Ian is going to play a Wooded Foothills and simply pass the turn back, so we're going to head back over to Tannon Grace. Tannon without Tron right now. It looks like he may crack this map on the upkeep potentially and get himself an Urza's Power Plant.
I think he took the draw here.
And I may have missed it. Either way, Tron will be online here whenever Tannon would like for it to be. And now there's a Chromatic Sphere. Going to cash that in right away, Will Grace. Picked up a copy of Karn Liberated. Made a bit of a weaker card in the matchup, as here is an Ancient Stirrings. Top 5 cards here for Grace. A Forest among them. A couple of Tron pieces and a Chromatic Star. And maybe the most important of the bunch is the Oblivion Stone that he is giving some heavy consideration to.
Yeah, I mean, the concern here from Grace's side is that, you're going to be taking 4 in combat this turn. And can you close out the game or gain life before Conflagrate works its way into the equation? Now, Thorne's dredging is a little bit on the slow side right now. He's only doing it for 3. He doesn't have a whole lot of engine. But because Loam is involved, that means a Conflagrate that gets flipped over is very likely to be lethal. Worm Coil Engine would be a nice prize here.
Would not be too bad, as Oblivion Stone's going to be the selection. The rest of the cards will go to the bottom of the deck. Ancient Stirrings goes to the graveyard, and O-Stone goes to the grip. Grace has already made his land drop for the turn, so we're going to head back over to Ian Thorne. Ian is going to sacrifice a Wooded Foothills. He'll fall down to at least 22. Don't think he's going to fall any lower than that, as he will search up a land with his beautiful-looking dredge deck. A foil Stomping Grounds will enter the battlefield tapped here for Ian. And we're going to head back his way. Perhaps some more dredging to be done here in just a moment. The young man is interested in dredging 3 cards here with his Life from the Loam. So 1 is a Faithless Looting, 2 is a Prized Amalgam, and 3 is an Archimedes. Those are some hitful hits. An Archimedes trigger the Amalgam. Does he want to flashback Faithless Looting, I suppose, is a question for Ian Thorne, who again was on top of the standings at the end of day number 1 and sat near the very top of the standings all weekend long.
Yeah, I mean, you would like to try to run Grace down here a little bit. And put him in a spot where he can't stabilize the board and prevent himself from getting burned out at the same time.
It'll be an attack there for 4 for Ian.
I kind of want to just be dredging as much as possible, because finding Conflagrate and Creeping Chills is like, that's just the best stuff, I think, right now.
You could find 3 Creeping Chills at the end of the game right now, just as an example, as there is 1. Time to dredge again. 1. 2 is a Conflagrate. That's another Creeping Chill, along with a Bloodghast. So Ian is finding exactly what he's looking for.
And now we're exactly where Thorne wants to be, which is you have to beat the board and you have to beat getting burned out, and that's probably asking too much.
And one thing there, just to keep in mind as far as the sequencing is concerned, had Ian maybe decided to Faithless Looting first, he would have hit a couple copies of Creeping Chill, which means the Bloodghast would have come back and had haste. Had he maybe dredged perfectly, maybe hits multiple Bloodghasts and maybe an attack for lethal.
Yep.
So just maybe a small thing.
It's an order of operations thing.
Yeah.
You kind of want to do everything first before moving to combat, because Bloodghast is part of it.
He also did play a land there and did not get back the Bloodghast that go around. Maybe that was by choice. We've seen a lot of players doing that this weekend, not getting the Bloodghast on purpose back from the graveyard. So what I can tell you is that Peter Holman did win game number 1 of his match right now against Alex Jones. That means 4-color Death Shadow is up a game here over Dredge in our other match, as Tannon Grace is at a very low life total and has to contend with what's on the battlefield and what's also in the graveyard there, and that Conflagrate and Bloodghast.
Yeah, it's asking a lot. Tron needs to be able to beat 2 zones here. I mean, I guess it's you have Oblivion Stone plus Relic plus an activation.
Depends on if Grace has a tower or not.
Yeah, because you need 10 mana total to do all that.
Yes, you do. Here is Conflagrate. Grace will take a look at that flashback fireball. That's so powerful for Dredge. Red, red, discard X card. You can divvy it up however you'd like, but most of the time it goes right to the opponent's face. For Grace, he's going to play a Relic of Progenitus. He will crack here and attempt to take care of the entire graveyard. We're going to see Ian Thorne sacrifice his Wooded Foothills in response to get his Bloodghast back from the graveyard. Grace will wait patiently as a Blood Crypt, enters the battlefield tapped, and a Bloodghast comes back from the graveyard. For Tannon, he is hoping to peel the Tower of Power, I believe. Though I suppose a Wormcoil Engine wouldn't be the worst draw either.
Yeah, he can play if that's the draw.
And I think he just did draw a Wormcoil Engine.
Although if Thorne has naturally drawn Creeping Jill or Conflagrate, that's too much.
There's that Wormcoil Engine, so we are going to go back over to Ian Thorne now, who will untap all those lands, a couple of these creatures as well. You'll have the Wormcoil Engine check an Amalgam, then 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 damage will come across, which means that Grace would fall down to 2, but would still keep him alive.
Yep.
Shriekhorn the draw, and Ian Thorne wants to take a look at the graveyard here. So Tannon has done a nice job of giving himself as much time as possible. But do remember, there is one Creeping Chill still lurking in the deck here for Ian Thorne. And some number of Conflagrates still left.
Did he have Dark Blast in his hand?
I believe that's true.
Dark Blast would have been good enough, right? If you upkeep Dark Blast the Wormcoil Engine, dredge it, do it again, Tannon's block gets him up to 7, and you have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 coming across.
I think you may be right about that. Not positive he has Dark Blast in his hand. If he does, that's definitely a play.
I thought I saw it, and if that's the case, then I think he had it rolled up. But
well, there is Shriekhorn that's going to mill 2 cards. What's interesting, as I did see him go by Dark Blast, is I think potentially he's never had to make that interaction.
Yeah, it's a weird spot, but
yeah.
If you can shrink down the amount of life that Tannon gains on the way back on your attack, I think it's Xaxes. Because I was looking, is there some way to attack with a Bloodghast and then shrink it before, just shoot it if Tannon blocks, all that kind of stuff? There isn't, but if he had Dark Blast in his hand on his upkeep, he could have just -2/-2 the Wormcoil and finished off the game.
Interesting play here in attacking for 1 with the Narcomoeba, and with the plan being that I'm going to block with my other Narcomoeba and Dark Blast it.
Yeah.
That's very clearly what Ian Thorne's plan is now. Will Tannon be able to suss that out? More importantly, even if he does, is it something that he can even beat at this stage?
Tannon can't say go because the Narcomoebas kill him.
That's true.
So even if he knows about it, he's got to figure out some line that forces the issue.
Here comes Santa Claus. Here comes Santa Claus. What's the lane? Right down Santa Claus Lane? Is that what they say?
I don't know.
Okay. Well, either way, Wormcoil does not gain any life this go around. Dark Blast will take care of the Narcomoeba, stopping that. The follow-up. Assuming there is one. Tannon leaning towards the Urza's Tower now. Another Wormcoil Engine. And an Oblivion Stone. Play a Sanctum of Ugin and pass the turn back. Well, Ian Thorne, you are being put to the test, my friend. Now, does the Dark Blast play work itself into the equation this time around? Gain 5, go up to 7, 3, 4, 5, 6, go down to 1. That Bloodghast might be helpful.
Yeah, I think with Bloodghast now in the mix, that might be enough.
Narcomoeba will enter the battlefield. That Bloodghast, of course, will have haste right now. Again, it is a little bit different because you have to wonder if Ian Thorne has ever thought to himself, I need to make this Wormcoil engine a little bit smaller so you gain less life.
So the Bloodghast is eligible to attack. One of the two Narcomoebas is. So you shrink the Wormcoil down to a 5/5, that puts Tannon up to 7. And you're minus a 3, so 1. Yeah, he's a point short that way now.
Well, if he gets the Bloodghast back, it should be lethal. Right? So
yep,
that's
that's
what I mean,
right.
because the Bloodghast has haste.
If he gets the Bloodghast back, he doesn't even need to Dark Blast, I don't think. He goes to 7, and he's taking 3,
He
4, 5, 6.
He goes to 8. He goes to 8.
And he's taking 8. And he's taking 8.
And he takes 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's correct.
Yeah.
Here is a Faithless Looting. The question, of course, again, as Ian Thorne's going to draw 2 cards and discard 2 cards, is what is Ian Thorne focused on
Right.
at this stage? Does he know that Bloodghast is enough to get the job done here? Here is Copperline Gorge.
Well, if he...
This is also enough.
Oh, yeah, he can Dark Blast
He
whatever the
can Dark
Wormcoil blocks.
Dark
That
Blast,
works the same way.
Totally fine. So, Ian Thorne does see the play with the Dark Blast. He is going to win game number 1 here over Tannon Grace. Dredge up a game here over Mono Green Tron as young Ian Thorne keeps his winning ways going. We will start with Tannon Grace in his sideboard. A 4th Ragtusk, 4 Nature's Claim, 3 Thought Knot Seer, 2 Spatial Contortion, a Graph Trigger's Cage, and that Emrakul, the Promised End.
I want the Cage. I want the Thrag Tusks. And I'm not that interested in Spatial Contortion. I don't like bringing in removal spells against Dredge so much. They just play through it. Tannon, I guess, has enough Graveyard Hate where there's some value in killing something and then exiling it forever, but I doubt it. Just the Thrag Tusk and the Graph Trigger's Cage is where I would go.
Other side of things here for Ian Thorne: 4 Leyline of the Void, 3 Collective Brutality, 3 Nature's Claim, 2 Assassin Trophy, an Ancient Grudge, a Dark Blast, and a Lightning Axe.
I love the Grudge, the 2 Assassin's Trophies for sure, and I wouldn't mind bringing in the Nature's Claim too.
Some pretty good options here for both players, honestly.
Really nice.
You gotta like what both players here are working with. So, you see each player take a look at each other's deck list, figure out the best way to sideboard here. Again, do keep in mind that Peter Holman currently up a game right now over Alex Jones, so 4-color Death Shadow up a game right now over Dredge. If we have another update on that, we'll let you know, but for right now, we're gonna go over that Season 1 schedule of the SCG Tour next year, where we're gonna kick things off in Columbus, beautiful, lovely Ohio, the best state of the 50, no matter what you say.
Then Modern in Worcester, teams in Indianapolis, teams in Baltimore, Standard in Dallas, Legacy in Syracuse, Regional Championship, March 9. That'll be Modern. More information as we get a little bit closer. Still got to do the 2018 regionals before we worry about that. Modern in Philadelphia. Then after that, teams in Cincinnati, Modern in Cleveland, teams in Richmond, teams in Syracuse, Modern in Louisville, and then Season 1 Invitational, Berglund Center, Roanoke, Virginia, June 7th through the 9th with Modern and Standard as the invitational formats.
Got some playmats for you lovely people as well for all of our Standard, Open, and Classic players. See if we can get this up here. These playmats that we did get commissioned. Guess not.
Guess not. Sorry. Not happening.
Maybe it will happen.
Anywho.
Maybe it's going to happen.
There we go.
Wow,
All right,
there we
good.
go. Botanical Growth at go.starcitygames.com/schedule. This one is by Victor Minguez. Let's go to our next one here for our Modern players. Let's see if we can get that one up. Hey, it's Starcrowned Angel by Greg Staples. And how about our third one? It is Loftstone Citadel by Adam Paquette. These playmats free with entry, and they're exclusive with entry into any Open, Classic, Infinite Challenge, or Sealed Spectacular package. Go to starcitygames.com/schedule for more information. 2019 schedule for Season 1 is out. Game number 2 about to be underway here between Ian Thorne and Tannon Grace, Dredge, and Mono Green Tron for ya. All the human decks are donezo.
Done.
Donezo.
Gone.
Just like that. I don't think humans is done, but they got to bring some. They got to bring some real sideboards. That's for sure.
Yeah, I think the mucking around with Anafenza is not going to get it done.
I think Anafenza is garbage.
Yeah, I'm not into it.
3 mana, 3.
And then it just gets wiped away with all your other creatures.
Yeah, it's just not for me. Peter Holman Winner, winner. Number 8 overall seed. Doesn't care that he's on the draw every game. He's moving on to the finals. Defeated Alex Jones 2-0. So 4-color Death Shadow. Maybe Death Shadow's the place to be. Ben Friedman, take note.
It's back. It's back like it never left.
Tarmogoyf is in.
Tarmogoyf. Can you believe it?
Crazy.
Forgot all about it. It's worth like 20 bucks now or whatever.
I'll take the over.
So worth more than 20 bucks. But.
I'll take the over.
You know what's interesting though
What's
about
that?
this metagame? Very little in the way to fail push.
Okay.
And very little in the way of path to exile. In the
Okay.
decks we've seen, right? And that's the critique of Tarmogoyf, just dies to stuff.
Yeah.
How many of the things that just kill it at a good rate are in these decks right now?
Probably not very many, honestly.
And the games are about attacking and blocking.
Yeah.
In Tarmogoyf, if it doesn't die, it's about the best you can get in an attacking and blocking game.
That's a legit note. That is. That's actually pretty. That's pretty heads up, man.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Still got it.
Yeah. Tarmogoyf is it might be really hard for people to kill right now.
I think it is.
And that thing is huge. Yeah. Peter Holman is going to wait patiently, hoping to maybe play his good friend Tannon Grace in the finals here, folks.
The car ride finals is a nice one.
It is a delight. Well, it's actually pretty bad for Tannon recently. Since
Yeah.
every time he plays against Brian Basako, he always loses.
And we did one of those back in the day with a PTQ.
Yeah.
Like one of the old winner takes all PTQs.
Okay.
That was not a fun ride home.
No?
Adam Horvath defeats Osip Lebedovich.
Oh, no.
final.
Osip did not like to lose back then.
And this was Osip trying to get on the Pro Tour for the first time.
Oh, no.
And the three of us, myself, Adam, and Osip, won the last 3 PTQs back to back to back to qualify us all for Pro Tour New Orleans, which was awesome, of course.
That's a really good feeling.
But that car ride back was not good.
Yeah.
The car ride there was really fun because I was in the back. I was already qualified doing the Celebrity PTQ Tour. Loved it. And I was in the we were
doing the victory lap.
People were talking about, are we going to have dodecapods in our sideboard because discard spells were really good in invasion block, and everyone's just like, okay, we finally get to the point where and dodecapods were good against Osip's deck specifically because he was on some discard blue black white deck.
Okay.
And it's eventually everyone's like, all right, it's just bad equity for us to have these dodecapods. No one's really going to have these decks, and we shouldn't do it. And my buddy, name is Mark, riding alongside me in the back, puts his index finger over his mouth, looks at me, and shows me 4 dodecapods that he slides into his sideboard.
Nice friends. Good friendship there.
Marco Tude.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
and then Osip and Adam played in the finals. It was great. Shh. Don't tell him. Don't tell him.
Yeah, I'm going to bring him in. And then I'm not going to get a ride home with you guys.
Right.
For that.
Osip's going to ravenous rat you on turn 2. You're going to put a dodecapod in play, and he
might come across the table.
And he's going to tell you to walk home.
Yes. He might. Where was the PTQ?
Harrisburg, Pennsylvania.
That's not close to where you guys.
No,
that's a long walk.
It was a haul. Yeah. It would have been a haul.
And just so you guys know, that's before Uber.
Yeah. Well before Uber.
Yeah. They had a different app back then called Hitchhiking.
Yeah, you couldn't even. I mean, in Harrisburg, you can't even get a cab.
No.
I mean, you just gotta.
No.
You gotta hop on the back of someone's truck and just hope they don't kill you. And take you back to New Jersey.
That's right. Dodecapod.
Dodecapod.
Is it worth it? Is it worth it?
Didn't come up.
Yeah. Boy, I wish that was the story. Osip just losing his mind.
Just in the 0-1 bracket, getting dodecapoded by FIDAC. Yeah,
I thought we talked about this.
And we did.
Yeah. I decided I want to get an edge.
Never consented. Yep. When you said, so we all agree not to have dodecapods, you might have noticed that I was silently not agreeing and getting my dodecapods.
What do you mean by all agree? Exactly. I don't agree to any of this.
We need to unpack the words all and agree.
Yeah.
So I think they might mean different things to me than to you. Anywho.
That's fun.
That was not a great car ride home.
Beating friends in the finals of tournaments it's tough. I've done it once. It's tough. It is tough.
Yeah.
It's all part of it, but it is tough. Looks like Tannon going a little bit lower
4,
here.
I believe we're on now.
Well, he's won with that before.
Yeah, we've seen it.
2 rounds ago.
Mulligan into Natural Tron Relic or whatever.
No. All right, he'll keep. Scry. Yeah, that's all it takes. Which is a ridiculous thing to say, but Tron can win on less cards. Been pretty impressed with Ian Thorne's play this weekend.
Yeah, it's been sharp. I'm always fearful of the people with the foil dredge deck because they know the rules. This is not a deck you play unless you know the rules really well.
Yeah, a labor of love.
How do you feel about upkeep triggers, draw step triggers? The difference between cards being cast and played.
It's very mechanical.
Right.
So you have to learn it. And it's much different to play online than in real life. You actually have to practice in real life about how you're going to actually play and dredge your cards. Otherwise, it can be very sloppy. Your warnings, those can add up quite a bit. As a Faithless Looting is going to discard a Conflagrate and a Stinkweed Imp.
You know what's quite the card? Faithless Looting.
I was going to say Faithless Looting.
That card is quite the card.
Yes. Sylvan Scrying. He played here by Tannon Grace. He's going to go get himself in Urza's Power Plant. I would say the Faithless Looting is powerful.
Yeah. And Caravel Study was an absolute banger back in the day. Better on a blue card than a red card. Mm-hmm. But Flashback is, it's a lot of what's going on there.
As Ben Friedman wrote a handful of months ago for StarCityGames.com, Faithless Looting is Modern's Brainstorm. And it's hard to argue. That's a Dredge 5 there from Ian Thorne.
It is, in fact, not that hard to argue. I would be happy to do it, but it does not seem like a good use of time.
I'm always happy to publish your stuff.
Is that true?
Would I lie? Yes, I would. But
okay.
I'm always happy to publish your stuff.
Okay.
If you want to go at 40-card Freeman, I'm down.
I'm not really interested in refuting. Here's my article sort of responding to Ben Friedman's hyperbolic statement. That's not a good use of anyone's time to write or edit or read.
I think everyone that is listening disagrees. I want it.
I mean, I know I'm over or whatever. That's not what I'm talking about here.
Conflagrate for 2. Perhaps Ian Thorne's hand is not that good.
Well, he didn't hit another dredger off the Stinkweed Imp. He just milled over a bunch of Shriekhorns and such, so it's got to keep it going.
All right, so Tannon's going to have Tron next turn on his mulligan to 4 while Ian is just kind of messing around.
Not doing a whole lot.
Yeah. Spinning his wheels, dredging 5, dredging pretty poorly, to say the least.
I mean, if he's got a third land here, he doesn't even have another dredger in the graveyard, right? He's out. The looting doesn't even keep it rolling.
Yeah.
He's just going to have to draw cards.
Yeah, it's not going well for Ian Thorne right now. I found a Thug and a Copperline Gorge. Going to discard 2 dredgers. I think he's already played a land, so Tannon's going to sacrifice the map, go get the Tower of Power, and Tannon could start to run away with things here.
Yep. I mean, he mulliganed to 4. He's light on stuff, of course, so who knows if he's got a payout in hand, but at the minimum, he's drawing to a bunch of cards and under no pressure.
Maybe mulliganing to 4 is how Tannon can just go about winning all weekend long. Maybe it's just easier that way.
3 Tron pieces and a card to cast. It's all the cards you need.
It's not that hard.
More than that, and you're just being indulgent.
There's no need to make this harder than it is.
Exactly.
There's Wormcoil Engine.
All right, well, that's very good against them.
Ian is going to dredge 5. Cathartic Reunion. There's an Archimedes finally. No Creeping Chills, assuming those are still in the deck. Conflagrate is in the graveyard. That's the best thing he's got to do.
I think that if you're going to make that much room for real cards, like Assassin's Trophy and stuff you just have to draw, it has to come at the expense of Creeping Chill. You just don't have enough stuff left in the deck to either dredge or pay you out for dredging.
All right, how about another Faithless Looting from the graveyard? I think he's going to start by dredging Loam because that's the only thing I think he can. Oh, he's got a Thug in there too. So let's go to Golgari Thug. Looting, chill, Trophy, Chill. All right. Now Loam. Amalgams, plural. Needs to discard 2 cards. Has at least 1 copy of Nature's Claim in hand. These cards will go to the graveyard. Chills will resolve. Grace is going to fall down to 12. Thorne's going to go up to 23.
Yeah, I mean, you can chill. You can use the Nature's Claim on the Worm Coil engine when Grace goes to attack. And then having to handle a 3/3 lifelinker is much easier than the 6/6.
Oh, yeah.
Get your Amalgams back hopefully next turn, and those can trade off, and you start to get it going.
Not sure if Tannon can see that card or not. That's why you see his hand is over the deck. As he was looking at the graveyard, he knocked over the top card of Ian Thorne's deck. But it wasn't flipped over, but it is obviously facing towards Tannon. Again, not sure if he saw it or not. So we'll find out here. And there is our head judge, Meg Baum. She's on the case. Might just cause Ian to have to shuffle his deck. It looks like the deck is just going to be randomized, and we'll continue from there. An easy solution.
Yeah,
so.
no big deal.
So, that problem solved. Now we continue on. And Ian Thorne will pass the turn back with a Nature's Claim at the ready. Grace is going to untap. Add another card to his hand. Remember, Tannon Grace on a mulligan of 4 this game, folks. Last time he did that, he beat Aaron Barrett's playing for top 8 here this weekend. Somehow, a mulligan of 4 has been kind to Tannon Grace. The one member of Team BCW without a trophy. He's been trying so hard to do it with Brendan DeCandio and Ross Merriam in team tournaments. They've gotten close twice. 2 runner-up finishes. Still looking for the individual one, too, if memory serves. And that's not a bad place to start there on Walking Ballista. Ballista's going to shoot down Narcomoeba. That'll clear the path for the Worm Coil engine. And is it time to blow up the Worm Coil engine? It looks like the answer is yes. So Nature's Claim is going to take care of that. Grace is going to gain some life from the Nature's Claim resolving, and he'll get a Death Touch and life-linking worm tokens. And it's going to be a Dredging of Stinkweed Imp. So 5 cards. Bloodghast is 1. Dakmor Salvage is 2. Creeping Chill is 3. Amalgam is 4. Dark Blast is 5. Excuse me. It's a Thug, which is 5. Now he's starting to find those real cards because that's basically all that's left in his deck.
Yep. They can't miss forever.
No.
Eventually, they hit whatever the stuff is.
Creeping Chill is going to bring Grace down to 13. Remember that Ian Thorne also does have a copy of Conflict right in the graveyard if memory does serve.
I mean, he can take care of the Ballista, get the Bloodghast back, and then all the Amalgams come back as well.
Yeah, it's interesting if he wants to take care of the Ballista. Does he want to take care of the life-linking Worm token, which he can probably just overpower with all the Amalgams and everything else?
The other thing is, if you get rid of the Ballista, then Grace needs to draw another big thing. If you let him keep the Ballista, even if he just draws more lands, his board position is not that bad.
Looks like it might be time to loam. We've seen this deck do this so much this weekend. Loaming to build large conflagrates, bringing back Bloodghast, which brings back Amalgams. So here is life in the loam for Ian. A couple of lands will come back. Looks like mostly fetch lands at this stage. Maybe a stomping ground in there too. So 2 foothills and a stomping ground. Stomping Ground is going to enter the battlefield untapped. Bloodghast is going to come back. Amalgam triggers. And we've got some mana being tapped here for old Stinky. Huh. Maybe some bigger plans for Conflict right down the road here for Ian.
Well, I think Ian might be aspiring to get rid of both the life-linking token and the Ballista.
Okay.
And the way that worked out that turn was he could, if he wanted to do it for 6, he could have knocked out both the 3/3s, but then he wouldn't have had a land to play for the Bloodghast. This way, next turn he can basically knock out all the blockers and be hitting with Amalgam and Bloodghast and what have you.
Here's a Stirrings for Grace. He'll take a look at the top 5 cards, take a colorless one with him. It's just a chromatic star. Not great, says Tannon, I'm sure. Had something fun to say about that. Looks like he's thinking about going towards the star here. But he might want to crack the other star that's already on the battlefield first. Unsure. Alright, he wants to make sure he knows just how much mana he has floating, so he's going to crack the star for a green and red. Excuse me, a green and colorless. And now draw a card. That's what's floating in his pool. Looks like Karn may have been the draw here.
Not its best in this matchup.
No, it is not.
One of the lower impact, probably the lowest impact of all of the big plays.
There is Karn. And now there's the star. And I'm with you. Karn not at its best in this matchup.
Yeah, I mean, you can't do a whole lot by attacking the hand, and a lot of the stuff just kind of comes back. I imagine it's just exiling whatever.
I'm an Amalgam.
Yeah, probably an Amalgam.
Yeah, that or, I mean, it's that or Stinky. I don't think he cares enough about Bloodghast to exile it.
I'm not even confident that playing the Karn here is better than just pumping up the Ballista. Since you know that next turn the Conflict is coming, all of it matters.
There goes Amalgam for good. Time to dredge. Life from the Loam. Reunion, Stinky, Foothills. And those amalgams are untapped now.
I mean, now it feels like you just loam for some lands and Conflagrate to do.
Fireball it up.
Yeah, just.
Looks like Ian wants to know how many cards are left in his deck. And now that he's counting, we'll find out as well.
I got a count of about 14. So not at risk of getting decked.
There's Loam. Gonna get back 3 lands. 17 cards left.
So this allows a Conflagrate for 6 to kill the Lifelinker and the Ballista and leave Nature's Claim in hand.
Pretty good.
Yeah, that's a nice setup. And if you want to, you can even have an attack of, say, both the Amalgams at Karn and Stinky at you. Just get him for that dirty point.
Give him that stink bomb.
I guess the Ballista is going to take care of one of the... I assume the Ballista is going to be taking care of one of the creatures.
Looks like it's going to be 3 at Ballista, 3 at the Lifelink Worm. There goes Amalgam. Now I think if I'm Ian, I don't know if he let the Nature's Claim rip here or not. I have some interest. Just clean that out of the way, kill the Karn.
Yeah, you even get some of the points back because now you have an attack that's freed up.
Yeah. So I kill this. Tannon's out of cards, so he's got to run pretty good. And I just say, I'm going to kill your Karn. I'm going to deal you 3. You're going to go down to 14. I've taken care of all the problems. You get 2 draw steps. 1 natural, 1 with the star. Scariest card, I think, if I'm Ian in this spot, is Ugin.
Another Ballista's pretty bad, too.
That's also pretty scary. That's legit. Sack the star, draw a card. See what we got here is Grace is tapping some mana. It's got an expedition map, so he's going to sacrifice that and search for a land. Might be a good time to go get the Sanctum if he's still got that left.
I mean, he doesn't. Mana's not the issue here. He just needs stuff that does things, and Sanctum is the most shots at a thing that does a thing.
There's the Sanctum of Ugin. So we're going to go back over to Ian. Ian doesn't have a ton of cards left in his deck, as we know. The count was 17. Still has time to dredge, though.
Yeah, I guess the question is, do you want to get Loam and try to build towards one more big Confligate, or do you want to just dredge as much as you can?
There's an Archamoeba.
Although I guess the upshot is of getting the Thug is just one more thing you can cast.
Yeah. I mean, the goal is just try to get this game over with, right?
Yeah. He's got enough dredgers in the graveyard. He can afford to just whatever, put another idiot on the table. Who cares?
How dare you speak of those creatures like that. Tannon Grace has a land in hand. He's got one more draw step maybe for the weekend. He's played the tower already. That'll be his land for the turn, presumably. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yeah, so it's a lethal attack.
Yep.
Grace has access to 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 mana. This is a Worm Coil. So that can block an Amalgam, bring up to 14. 3, 4, 5.
Yeah, I mean, it covers
6,
it.
6, 7, 8. Yeah. All right, we play on.
Is there a Grudge in his graveyard? Because a Grudge lets him have it. He can just grudge the Worm Coil engine after blocks.
I don't think so. Not that I've seen. Not that I've seen. 2, 3. Loam will go back.
I mean, you can send in just the Narcomoeba. And
Stinky, too.
oh yeah, I forgot. Excuse me.
Again, how dare you?
And then, you chip him down to 6, and then if Tannon draws nothing the next turn, then you can attack with everything, and I think that gets you there.
So let's
goes up to 12, and then...
Let's call Tannon at a virtual 14 right now. So we call Tannon at 14 and Amalgam being blocked.
Yep.
That means 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Bloodghast would make it 10. So Thorne's got to figure out a way to deal 4 more. Because there's a Bloodghast that can come back from the graveyard, so there's that.
I mean, there's the with the Amalgam coming back as well. Well,
I think this is a
oh, yeah, if he's got every... So 14, 11, 9, 7, 6, 5, 4. So he does make forward progress this way. Yeah, okay.
He loses Amalgam, gets an Amalgam back. Has to sincerely hope that Tannon does not draw Ugin, basically.
Yeah, but not a whole lot to do about the top of the deck. So
yeah. Tannon draws Ugin, he actually just probably wins.
Yeah.
It's the same equation. He's going to go up to 10 this time and take 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So that is going to do it. Ian Thorne's going to win this game and match over Tannon Grace. 2-0. Dredge going to take care of Mono Green Tron. And for the youngster from Texas, he is on to the finals.